Pool robots have come an extremely long way. In fact, every single pool robot that you see here is commonly found for less than $200. If you've done a little research in the past, you may have already seen some of these in some advertisements online, especially these two right here. These are the Aiper Scuba and Seagull SEs. These are Aiper's base models. Now right over here, we have the OFuzzy Cyber 1000. This can be in a 1000 or a 1200 or the Y-Bot Winnie. Now every single robot that you see here does have some similarities. In fact, they're very similar, every single one of them. They all work in the exact same way. The only differences in them are absolutely minor. Now every single robot that I found here is commonly less than 200, but I've got them arranged from cheapest to most expensive. And after watching this video, I'll let you make your decision on which robot is proper for you. First thing we're going to start with is every single robot here does work. They all do exactly what is described of them. And to start, we're going to take a look at the Aiper Scuba SE. Now the Aiper Scuba SE, I've seen this robot as cheap as $89 here in the past, but on average it's typically around $120. Now the Aiper Scuba SE is an extremely simple and easy to use, and the way that it functions is that it has a small vacuum pump. And the vacuum pump draws water from each of these holes and blows it out of these flaps on the front and on the back. This allows for the robot to proceed forward and backward. Whenever it bumps against a wall and it realizes that it's not moving anymore, it reverses its direction and vacuums going in the opposite direction. Now the Aiper Scuba SE is only rated for flat bottom pools or above ground pools. And the same goes for the Seagull SE as well. However, I have found that either one of these robots work very well in a 3 to 5 foot shallow transition in-ground pool that's not perfectly flat. The Scuba SE has 24 gallons per minute of suction, and it's going to traverse across the bottom of the pool, picking up sand, dirt, grass clippings, small leaves, anything that the kids bring into the pool or the wind blows in. It does a great job of picking up debris. However, the Scuba SE does have some weaknesses. And the biggest weakness of the Scuba SE is simply its extremely small wheels. The Scuba SE is going to have a very difficult time going over wrinkles in a vinyl liner pool. Like an above ground pool, whenever you're installing it, your job is to spread the wrinkles of the liner out. And very commonly, people do not perfectly get out all of the wrinkles. So improper installation of the pool will make for the Scuba SE getting stuck. Now let's move on to the Seagull SE. The Seagull SE is basically the exact same robot as the Scuba SE, except it comes in a different shape. They claim that it has fast charging and it has a nice lighted battery display to give you the status of the battery. Outside of that, this is virtually the exact same robot as the Scuba SE. It does come apart slightly different than the Scuba SE. It has 4 clips that are a little bit more difficult to work in my opinion, but overall, this robot has the same weakness. It is not good with wrinkles in above ground pools or any liner pool for that matter. But just like the Scuba SE, it does work pretty well in a 3 to 5 foot shallow, very gradual slope transition pool, just like the Scuba SE, even though it is only rated for flat bottom pools. Now let's move on to the OFuzzy Cyber 1000. The Cyber 1000 is just like its brother, the Cyber 1200. You'll notice that this robot would look exactly the same as the 1200 if I had both of them out here. But the Cyber 1000 is good to 6.6 feet deep, and the 1200 is good to 8 feet deep. Those are the only differences between this robot. But when it comes to the Cyber 1000, it works in the same fashion as the Aipers. But the Cyber 1000 has much larger wheels. The Cyber 1000 is able to go up larger bumps, and it is actually rated for a sloped pool up to 15 degrees. I find, however, if your pool is more than a 3 foot to 7 foot transition, most people's slopes are a little bit too steep for either the 1000 or the 1200. Now the Cyber 1000, like the Aipers, uses a vacuum on the bottom of the robot, and from there it disperses the water out of the nozzles on the front and the back. But one of the things that I love about the OFuzzy is that the nozzles are adjustable. You can adjust how sharp this robot makes its turns. So if you have a smaller pool, you can adjust for a sharper turn. The OFuzzy Also has a longer battery life than both of the Apers, only around an hour and a half on the Apers, and the OFuzzy, I tend to get around 2 hours. Now, I've got over 200 combined cycles on the OFuzzy Cyber 1000 and 1200, and I've never had an issue at all. The OFuzzy is also much more easy to break apart and service. Whenever servicing it, all you do is lift the top of the robot off of the wheel frame, remove the skimmer, and at that point, you can rinse out the collection tray, which is the entire bottom of the robot. The OFuzzy is also going to be able to pick up much larger leaves thanks to the larger openings on the bottom. The OFuzzy is without a doubt, my opinion, my favorite robot to use for my pool. Or maybe it's just the OFuzzy styling of robots. When it comes to this type of robot, we like to refer to them as a Winnie. That is the typical name for them. This robot here is called the Wybot Winnie. And Wybot is a more name brand pool robot than OFuzzy, and this one is sometimes easier to obtain than the OFuzzy. The OFuzzy I typically see for around $150 to $170, while the Wybot is typically in the $200 range. But they're virtually the exact same robot. In fact, sometimes I think the OFuzzy has a slightly larger battery life, even though the Wybot has the exact same size battery. But this robot, this styling of robot, when it comes to bottom cleaners, in my opinion, is the best way to go because you get the larger wheels and you also have the nozzle adjustment on the back. The OFuzzy and Wybot both have extremely large openings on the bottom. They also suction from the bottom and disperse the water through the nozzles on the robot itself, and you can adjust how sharp it turns, much like it. These robots are almost clones. The only differences are aesthetics. When it comes to these robots also, the only thing that I find a true weakness on these robots are their charging ports. The OFuzzy charging port tends to build up a little bit of corrosion. I recommend always a little bit of dielectric grease on the charging port because it will absolutely help with the longevity of this robot. And the same goes for the Wybot as well. The Wybot has a very similar charging port on the top. For some reason, the Apers do not seem to have this problem. Every single Aper product that I have has an extremely well-built charging port. And with those, I never have to add dielectric grease and everything is always smooth. Now let's talk about how much each of these robots can clean. The Aper Scuba and Seagull SE are both rated to clean around 850 square foot of pool. Now, when it comes to the OFuzzies, both of these can do around 1,000 square feet of pool. And that's really not much difference, but out of all of these robots, I find that all of that is too big of a pool, personally. A 1,000 square foot pool or even an 800 square foot pool is significantly larger than any pool in America on average. In fact, 1,000 square feet is larger than a 20 by 40 pool. The pool behind me right here is only 13 by 26, significantly smaller than a 20 by 40, so it is well within the range of what these robots are rated to clean. Now, when it comes to starting these robots and putting them all in the pool, it's very easy. On the Apers, all you have to do is press the power button on the bottom of the Scuba SE, and the power button for the Seagull SE is on top. Once you power it on, you're going to get a beep. The reality is, every single pool robot here works extremely well, but the most versatile is definitely going to be the OFuzzy and Winnie type robots, just because they can handle the most environments. But the Apers here are great for extremely lightweight, easy to charge, anything like that. But all of these robots do require proper care. I find that many people will leave a bad review saying that it stopped working, and that tends to be because people will leave these robots at the bottom of their pool. It's best to remove these robots from the water once they're finished cleaning within a few hours. You also want to keep them charged throughout the winter. You have to maintain a charge on these robots because whenever you let them sit with a dead battery for long periods of time, that causes battery damage. And that goes for any cordless robot, whether it be $200 or $2,000. So with all of that being said, I'll let you make your decision. Both of these Apers are great if you want to save $50, but my favorite out of the two is the Seagull Pro, and that's just because it has a little light at the top. For the Winnie style robots and the OFuzzy here, you may not always be able to get the OFuzzy, but if looking for a bottom cleaner, These are definitely extremely versatile. This would be what I would get 9 times out of 10, but it's gonna perform extremely well in any pool. But when it comes to the Winnie style robots, these are typically my favorite choice. They're absolutely great. I love the OFuzzy. I've used it more than any of them, but the Wybot Winnie, if this is the only one that you're able to get a hold of and you've decided you want the larger wheels, the Wybot Winnie is an excellent choice and is pretty much always available. Now for every single one of these robots, I'm going to put an Amazon link at the bottom in the description for you guys to make your choice on every single one of these robots. If the OFuzzy is missing, that means you can't get it anymore. But out of all of these robots, make your choice, and any questions in the comments I will quickly answer.